everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Jackie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to make another video theorizing about the upcoming 8th and final season of Game of Thrones, and today I want to talk about Sansa Stark. I was looking through my old comments the other day and I saw that 3 months ago someone had asked me to make a Sansa video, and I just completely forgot that you asked me, so I'm so sorry it took me so long, but I'm here with the Sansa video today, and I have to say I'm actually kind of proud of this, so hopefully you guys like it. I think the first major conflict that Sansa is going to have to deal with in Season 8 is this revelation about Jon and Daenerys. Jon has bent the knee to Daenerys, and as we saw, Sansa was not that happy about it. So when Daenerys actually comes to Winterfell, I don't think Sansa is going to trust her. After everything Sansa has been through, I think she's learned that you can't trust anyone unless they give you a reason to trust them. No one can protect anyone in this world, so I can't say I blame her for not being happy about Jon bending the knee. However, I don't think she's going to be openly hostile to Daenerys because we know that the people of the North are Sansa's #1 priority, and at this point, with the Night King on his way and Winter here, she needs all the help that she can get, and Daenerys is, without a doubt, a powerful military ally. So even though she doesn't trust Daenerys, and I don't think she will trust her right away, I think she is going to act cool and civil towards Daenerys, but also probably give Jon a talking to behind closed doors since he bent the knee without consulting her first. I do hope that eventually, once Sansa and Daenerys see what each other is really like, they will come to like each other and respect each other, because I love both Sansa and Daenerys. I hate how the fandom continually pits them against each other. I think both of them are strong women, and they have both undergone some severely traumatic events and both emerged stronger and learning more about themselves, being more confident in themselves. I actually think the two of them have a lot in common, and I hope that eventually the two of them will reach a mutual respect or even a friendship. Next, there is the question about whether or not Sansa will actually be fighting in Game of Thrones Season 8. There is going to be the battle against the Night King and the battle in King's Landing to take down Cersei, and Jon did say that he wants every man, woman, and child who is old enough to fight and physically able to be trained and given a sword. So Sansa does fit into that category, which means she's probably going to need to get some lessons so that she can possibly wield a weapon. Now, it would be unrealistic for Sansa to just suddenly out of nowhere become this badass skilled fighter because she doesn't have a lot of training. So I don't think we're going to suddenly see Sansa out on the battlefield taking down whites left and right. I think it would actually make a lot of sense if we see Arya come to Sansa's aid and maybe save Sansa's life, because the two of them had a very antagonistic relationship when they were younger, and Arya saving Sansa would show that the two of them don't hate each other after all, and that any hard feelings between the two of them have passed, and they now have a good sister relationship where they look out for one another. However, I think it would also be really cool if we saw Sansa have an unexpected badass moment. I think we're definitely going to see Arya and Brienne trying to protect Sansa, so it would be really cool if there was a moment where maybe one of them is surrounded or in danger and Sansa comes to their aid, maybe stabs a white in the back or something, and surprises even herself with this badass moment. Additionally, there is the question of whether or not we will see Sansa in King's Landing again, and I think it would be great to see Sansa somehow outsmart Cersei in Season 8. In Season 7, Sansa said that she knows Cersei, she knows the way her mind works, and she has learned a lot from her, so it would make sense to see another Sansa and Cersei interaction before Cersei is overthrown. I think it would be really great to see Sansa somehow turn the tables on Cersei, showing that she has beaten Cersei at her old game. And I know in the past some people have even theorized that Sansa may be the younger and more beautiful queen who will cast down Cersei and take all she holds dear. Also, I have a minor filming spoiler here, so if you don't want to see this, just skip ahead about 30 seconds or so. And that is that we know that Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa, was filming in Sevilla, Spain, which is where the Dragon Pit set is. This set will appear in Season 8, so that means Sansa will be in the Dragon Pit at some point. I am fairly certain that Sophie was filming in the Dragon Pit because her body double was also spotted in Spain at this time. as was the body double of Peter Dinklage, who is also in Spain, so we will definitely see Sansa in the Dragon Pit at the very least. No director was spotted in Spain, so I think this may be a scene in the series finale, which implies that Sansa will survive. That being said, I am very, very confident that Sansa will survive the entire series. I think she is the future of House Stark, and she will rule from Winterfell, whether that be as Lady of Winterfell and Wardeness of the North, or if the Seven Kingdoms are divided again, she may even become Queen in the North. So the next question is, will Sansa have a husband? A lot of people have different theories about who Sansa may end up marrying, so I am going to address each one of these popular theories and tell you the pros and cons of each and whether or not I think we might see Sansa marry this person in Season 8. The first potential marriage candidate for Sansa is Tyrion Lannister.
You know him better than any of us. What do you think?
Tyrion's not like the other Lannisters. He was always kind to me.
I actually really do like the idea of Sansa and Tyrion as a couple. I think they definitely have respect for each other, and they both are political geniuses. They could definitely be a Westerosi power couple. In Season 7, we saw Sansa acknowledge how Tyrion was always kind to her, and even though they were married before and it was not an ideal situation, I think the two of them do respect each other and treat each other well, which could possibly lead to them having a good marriage, even if there are no romantic feelings at this moment. I also think it would show character growth for Sansa, who always dreamed of having a handsome knight. Tyrion is physically not what she wanted, however, she has seen that he is kind, smart, and would make a very good husband. This would show that Sansa has become less vain and judgmental, and that she now judges people based on their character and not their physical appearance. However, I have one big problem when it comes to a Sansa and Tyrion marriage, and that is that I fully believe Tyrion will become the head of House Lannister. I think Cersei and Jaime are both very likely to die, and that Tyrion will be the last Lannister and the Lord of Casterly Rock. So, if Sansa is the head of House Stark and the Lady of Winterfell, that would be inconvenient for a marriage because Tyrion would have to be at Casterly Rock and Sansa would have to be at Winterfell. One of them would have to give up their castles to marry each other, and I don't see either of them doing that. Another person who some theorize may become Sansa's husband is Jon Snow, aka Aegon Targaryen.
We need to trust each other. We can't fight a war amongst ourselves. We have so many enemies now.
Not a big fan of this theory, however, there is a book basis for it, and that is the Tourney of Ashford Meadow theory. This takes place in the Tales of Dunk and Egg novel, and at this tourney there were 5 champions. One was a Baratheon, one was a Lannister, one was a Tyrell, one was a Hardyng, and one was a Targaryen. These correspond to all of Sansa's suitors in the books. First of all, she was betrothed to Joffrey Baratheon. Now, I know Joffrey wasn't a real Baratheon, however, he did have the Baratheon name, so I'm going to count him here. In the books, she was supposed to marry Willis Tyrell, Loras Tyrell in the show. That did not work out. She ended up married to Tyrion Lannister. Now, as for the Hardyng, which is a more obscure house, in the books, but not on the show, Sansa is supposed to marry Harry Hardyng, the heir to the Vale, and then that just leaves the Targaryen. So, in the books, I think Aegon Targaryen, aka Young Griff, the person who is claiming to be the lost son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Elia Martell, is going to make a play for Sansa's hand, because Sansa is definitely a politically important person because she has connections to the North and the Vale, which are both very powerful kingdoms. However, since Young Griff is not a character on the TV show, there is no chance of him courting Sansa on the television show, which has caused some people to speculate that the Targaryen Sansa may be betrothed to or even marry is Jon Snow. Now, Jon is biologically Sansa's cousin, which means it is perfectly acceptable for them to get married in Westeros. It is not incest for cousins to marry each other in Westeros. It is a very common practice. However, my issue with this is that Sansa and Jon were raised believing they were brother and sister, and it's hard for me to imagine that they would suddenly stop viewing each other as such. I believe that Jon will always view Sansa, Arya, and Bran as his siblings, even though they are only his biological cousins. They were raised together, and I don't think Jon will ever see Sansa in a romantic light, and I don't think Sansa will ever see Jon in a romantic light as well. Also, I think it is very, very likely that Jon will marry Daenerys in season 8. So, if Daenerys were to die and Jon was then to marry Sansa, I worry that it would look like Sansa was just his second choice and that he's not marrying her for love, but just because he feels like he needs a wife. And I think Sansa and Jon both deserve better than that. However, in the original Game of Thrones outline, which was thankfully changed, George R.R. Martin did intend for Jon to marry Arya in the end, so I guess anything is possible. I'm just personally not a big fan of Jonza, but I know a lot of people are. Now, another character who is frequently shipped with Sansa is the Hound, aka Sandor Clegane, and I will fully admit that when I first saw the San ship, I had no idea where it came from, but I actually do know now there is some of a basis for it in the books. This event is known as the Unkiss. Basically, when Sandor comes to Sansa after the Battle of the Blackwater, when Sansa is looking back on this event later, she remembers the Hound kissing her, which actually never happened, implying that she may have romantic feelings for the Hound. George R.R. Martin actually once said, in reference to the Unkiss as it is known, "You will see in A Storm of Swords in later volumes that Sansa remembers the Hound kissing her, but if you look at the scene, he never does. That will eventually mean something." I do like about this theory that it would show character growth for Sansa, much like I said with Tyrion, because the Hound is not the physically handsome knight that Sansa always dreamed of, and it would show that she has become less obsessed with physical appearance. However, I think it would really feel out of left field for people who are show-only watchers, because there is no foreshadowing for a romantic relationship between them in the television show, so maybe it could happen in the books, but on the show, I just really don't think there's any foreshadowing for it. Another candidate for Sansa's hand in marriage is her cousin, Robin Arryn, the Lord of the Vale.
Oh, I'm the Lord of the Vale. When I grow up, I'll be able to fight anybody who bothers me. Or you. When we get married, you can tell me if you don't like somebody, and then we can bring them back here and whoosh! Right through the moon door.
I like the sound of that.
The actor who plays Robin Arryn was actually spotted at the Spain set for the Dragon Pit, which could mean that he's going to appear in season 8. However, I still don't think Sansa will marry Robin Arryn. Even though it has been mentioned on the show as a possibility, I just don't think Sansa needs to marry Robin Arryn. I think she already has the Knights of the Vale on her side, and we saw them in the scene where Littlefinger was killed and they were standing with Sansa. Also, I just think Sansa deserves better than marrying her bratty, spoiled little cousin, and I just personally wouldn't be satisfied with this as an ending for her. Now, the last potential husband for Sansa I want to address is one that has been increasing in popularity recently, and that is Gendry.
I have a son, you have a daughter. We'll join our houses.
Now, there is foreshadowing for a potential Stark-Baratheon marriage alliance, and I do think, again, this would show character growth for Sansa, because even though Gendry is low-born, if they were to marry, we would see that Sansa now judges people based on their character and not on their birth or their physical appearance. However, I'm not a fan of this theory at all. In the books, there is so much Arya and Gendry romantic foreshadowing, so I think if there is going to be a Stark-Baratheon marriage, then it will definitely be between the two of them. When people talk about a Sansa-Gendry marriage, it is almost always men who bring this up, and I think the reason they believe this is because Sansa is more stereotypically feminine, and I think they're just ignoring the more complex nuances of Arya's character. Arya really does prioritize family, and when people say that she is incapable of love and that she either has to die or leave Westeros, I think they are just having a very stereotypical view of her character and ignoring all the different things that make up her character. So it really annoys me when people say that Sansa is going to marry Gendry because there's just no evidence for it. As you can probably tell, I have very strong feelings about this, and I think I might want to make a whole video just talking about the ways people misinterpret or oversimplify Arya's character, so let me know in the comments if that's a video you might be interested in seeing. But to go back to my main point about Sansa and Gendry, I just don't think there's any evidence for this in the show. And I also think, similar to what I said with Tyrion, it really wouldn't make sense politically. I think in the show, at least, Gendry will be legitimized and become Lord of Storm's End as the head of House Baratheon, and it wouldn't make sense for Sansa to marry the Lord of Storm's End if she is going to be Lady of Winterfell. They would be in two different locations, and it just would not make sense for a marriage between them to take place. So I really don't think any of these men are going to marry Sansa in Season 8. If Sansa is going to get married in Season 8, I think Tyrion is the most likely candidate, but I still have a couple doubts about that. So my main theory is that Sansa will remain unmarried. After everything Sansa has been through in the show, her bad experiences with marriage and her rape, I don't think she would readily jump into another arranged marriage anytime soon, and understandably so. And since Game of Thrones is loosely based on the War of the Roses, which established the rise of the Tudor dynasty, I actually think there might be some parallels between Sansa and Queen Elizabeth I of the House of Tudor, aka the Virgin Queen. First of all, there is the fact they are both known for their bright red hair, and they are both the daughters of traitors. Sansa's father, Ned Stark, was beheaded for treason, even though he was actually innocent, as was Elizabeth I's mother, Anne Boleyn, who was accused of treason, adultery, and incest, which almost all modern historians now agree she was actually innocent of. Also, Elizabeth I had a complicated relationship with Edward Seymour, who was a very politically ambitious person who briefly took in Elizabeth as a ward, I believe, and acted sexually inappropriate towards her. Some people say that he actually wanted to marry Elizabeth to claim power, and if you ask me, that sounds a lot like Littlefinger. Also, in the books, Sansa is in fact still a virgin because her rape hasn't happened in the books. So right now, I believe that at the end of the series, Sansa will remain unmarried, ruling Winterfell as Lady of Winterfell, or possibly even Queen in the North. I think this would show a lot of development for her character, because Sansa always dreamed of being a wife and having lots of babies, and I think this would show that she has become more strong, confident, and independent, and that she doesn't need a man to complete her. She does not base her future around a man any longer. And I just think after everything that she has been through, after her rape and her forced marriages, it would be out of character for her to jump into a marriage right away. And I think the show will end with Sansa being a single and powerful ruling lady in the North. So everyone, let me know what you think about this theory. What do you think Sansa will do in Season 8 of Game of Thrones? Do you think she will get married again? Do you think she will survive? Do you think she will rule Winterfell? Do you think she will become queen in the North? Let me know if you agree, disagree, if there's any evidence for these theories that I missed. Please let me know in the comments. Also, please like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Game of Thrones videos from me. If there is a certain topic you would like to see me address on my channel, feel free to leave a request in the comments, and I will try to answer it as best as I can, and hopefully in a timely manner. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye! See you next time!